There we go. Welcome everyone to episode 3 of the Social Listening Podcast.
How you going?
Wow, there it is. We've got our very first guest today to talk about belief systems, Adam G.
How you going?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
Thanks.
Finally.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. So tell us a bit about yourself for everybody. And I'm hearing this for the first time too.
For the first time, right. Well, I've been in the building industry probably since I was 18, commercial building and things like that. And just I think as far as my beliefs and how I've got there, just growing up, you kind of you get into certain kind of things as you're young. I think a significant event for me that kind of changed the way I see things, the way I think, was probably the event that happened in September of 2001. I don't really want to be specific. If this is going on YouTube, they might,
I might censor it.
I might censor it. But I just kind of started questioning all that kind of stuff, And when things initially happen, you think, oh my God, how is this happening in the world that we're living in? And then little snippets of information come out, and then just little things I think that plant the seed to think, well, am I just believing a narrative? Or if I think about something critically, using my own discernment, will it kind of lead me down another path that maybe makes more sense? So I don't know. I think I've kind of grown up, and people will labour it maybe conspiracy theorist or whatever it may be. But I don't know. I think it's just, I've always believed that it's okay to change your mind based on new information, basically. And just being kind of stuck in one kind of belief, as we know, belief isn't fact. So I've
Can I ask when you were a kid, what your family religion was? Like what
Catholic.
Catholic.
Yeah. So Italian background.
Catholic.
I wouldn't say hardcore. No, like as when we're young, you know what it's like. Your parents drag you to church sometimes when you're young. Before you could, had some kind of independence. So it would be, we'd go to church with my grandmother. Dad would always skip out, obviously. So the kids, go to church with mum and the grandmother, And I don't know, I think I've always kind of just questioned it. Like, as you get older, you see there's different religions, you meet other mates and you're like, oh, you're Catholic, oh, I'm Muslim, or, some are Christian, we've got a mate that's Christian and very deep into Christianity and stuff, which, so you think, all right, so which one of these is right? Which one is the correct belief system?
Yeah.
So, right. I was never hardcore anything. I don't think I really delved too deeply into anything to say this is what I believe and this is my faith or my absolute religion, and that's it, I've always been skeptical.
I went to church every weekend, like every Sunday. We had to go to church, and it was till I was 15, where I'm like, no, I don't want to go anymore. This is boring.
Yeah.
That's, but yeah, I mean, like as you get older, like the school I went to was 97% Islamic, right? So I was like the odd one out there.
Yeah.
So it's not like I went to a Catholic school or anything like that, but my parents were hardcore Catholics. Like, they, and still to this day, I have arguments with my old man. He's trying to convince me that, God exists and Jesus and all this sort of stuff. So, which is interesting. But, even someone like my old man who's 80, he's 83.
Yeah.
He's questioning things and, not about if God exists. He believes God exists. That's what he believes. But, things like he picks and chooses what he wants to believe out of the religion.
Yeah, what suits,
Yeah, what suits you. That's right. So I always throw that at him and go, oh, so you can just pick and choose, make your own, the Joe religion,
Yeah, that's right. And like as a kid, I kind of always thought about that. Even going to like a Catholic school, like Catholic high school and stuff, you kind of think, well, why? But why is it this way? Why can't I ask a question? If I was to ask a question, but why? Why is it like this? You'd never get a definitive answer. It's just because that's what the Bible says, or that's what we were taught, and that's what I'm teaching you. And I think it's funny that maybe some people get defensive when you ask a question. But why is it that way?
Yeah.
You know, and I think like growing up, asking why, you know, and my parents always encouraged, you know, if you don't understand something or you want to know a bit more about it, just ask why. Like, why is it that way? It can't be just because I said so. That's not an answer, you know, or just because that's what we believe. And I think it's just kind of led me down a few little rabbit holes along the way, looking into things, and then little things will happen where you'll find some information on something, and then maybe a couple of weeks later you want to go back and check it, and it's gone. Mm-hmm. Like it's been censored, and we're seeing a lot of that, I think, in this day and age now, where things will come out and then they've been fact checked, or they've been censored, or they've been removed. But you know, and I think to myself, the truth doesn't fear investigation. You know, if it's the truth, you can investigate the hell out of it, and it is what it is. You know.
Yeah. The hardest thing I find in myself, and like hearing say, and I agree with what you're saying. That don't get me wrong. I agree that you should question things and question everything.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be a point where you go, you know, how far am I not going to believe anything I hear from now on? Like that's, you know, like you've got to think, okay, there's got to be some truth out there, something that's been said. You know, there's got to be some truth. It can't just be, you can't dismiss everything. That's the only thing I struggle with.
Absolutely.
You know, like you said, conspiracy theorists, whatever. No matter what is thrown at you, where it's evidence or whatever, to just totally dismiss it. I think, you know, to be able to dismiss only so you think that exists or, you know, doesn't exist. It's sort of exactly what you're saying about question everything, which I 100% agree with. You can't just tunnel vision into what you think is right.
Yes.
You know, and that works on either side of whatever argument you're talking about. You know, whether it's COVID, whether it's the Earth, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think you've got to open your eye out to every bit of evidence, especially if you can see it for yourself. That's where I think that if you go, okay, you know, how is this explained and that sort of stuff.
If you can verify something for yourself, I think that's the most, like that's your first kind of, your baseline of evidence and kind of a fact that say, all right, well, I've seen this for myself. I've verified this for myself. Like using the scientific method, basically saying the scientific method is observable, testable, repeatable. Right. So that's true science.
You believe in science and physics and all
absolutely.
That sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Things that you can test for yourself, things that are testable, I believe. 100%. And with a lot of the things that I believe, it's using science. It's using stuff that you can verify for yourself, not just believing. So believing is someone that you see as a higher authority, or someone that you believe is smarter than you, right? And telling you, these are the facts, this is what they are, and you have to believe me because I've researched it, and that's the end of the story. Yeah. And people say, okay, I suppose.
But with science, it's more of a, they don't say definite. Like, for example, the Big Bang, right? That's just it's a theory.
Absolutely.
You know, until based on all the evidence that they've got. But they have got theories that get changed, you know what I mean? Because they've found further evidence. And that's where people that dismiss science, I just don't understand that. You know, it's like, the science, you go on a plane, that's because of science. You go in a car, it's because of science. It's, you know, it's
your iPhone. That's because of science, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. I believe in science, and I believe in the iPhone because I'm holding it in my hand. I can verify that for myself. It's here. I'm using it. Yeah. You know, but things that you can't
make one of those though. That's what you're going to think.
Of course not. No, I couldn't make one, but I'm holding it in my hand, so I can see that it's been made. I can see that someone has made it. Someone smarter than me.
Would you believe the scientists that obviously made that object, the phone?
Of course.
Like, would you believe if they told you something about how the iPhone works? Would you take that as okay? Yep, that's true, or would you go?
Oh, well, because I can verify it.
YouTube video.
Yeah, because I can verify that for myself. Like, you know, the fact that we're talking and you're not in the same room and I can see you. I can verify that for myself. Right. For things that you can't verify, how do you know? You're just being told a story. Like you said, for example, the Big Bang, right?
Yeah.
Which Charles Darwin invented the Big Bang, like Darwinism, right? So that's the way, from what I've investigated and what I've seen, it's all theorized. There's no evidence behind it. There's no proof behind it. It's just a theory. It's a story that's never been proven. And that's why they call it the Big Bang Theory. It's not the Big Bang fact, because there's no facts behind it.
I know, but But it's like these scientists that have been, you know, I mean, I think I'm clever, but I'm not that level smart, right?
Yeah.
You know, like as in these scientists that dedicate their lives to this, you know, to astrophysics and all that sort of stuff. I think for people to just dismiss that level of intelligence, you know, unless you're at that level education wise.
Yep.
You know, I think like China, for example, you know, the way, as much as people think that China's, you know, horrible to their people, and some things I agree, but the way that they operate compared to, say, our democracy is run, you know, that they have a really top, you know, intelligent people running their country. And, you know, that's why they've been able to get to where they are in such a short amount of time, you know, because they've got a lot of smart people making decisions for the majority of the people.
Yep.
So, you know, they are relying on that, and it actually works for them as a civilization.
Yeah.
You know, we're compared to us, we got, you know, dummies running, you know, dummies running our states and countries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely agree with that. But Steve, you can see that for yourself. You can see that with China and their progression.
Yeah.
You see that for yourself. But you said astronomy before.
Yeah.
Astronomy's all theorized. They're all theories.
And this is what we're here for.
Yeah. Astronomy is actually all theory. So, like, say they say, so how far away do they say the sun is?
I don't know.
So they say the sun is 93 million miles away.
Yep.
Right. And how did they measure that? How did they measure the distance from the sun to the Earth?
Yeah, they've got like, they've got telescopes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but how do they know the distance? Because the distance of the sun has changed three times over the whole heliocentric model. So they've changed that distance 3 times. So you know how they measured it? They measured it when Venus transited the sun, right? And they assumed the size of Venus when it was transiting, right? Yeah. And that's how they got the distance of 93 million miles from the sun to the Earth. But the problem with that is they assumed the size of Venus. They don't know how large Venus is, right? So it's based on an assumption. Yeah, but this and you know what? I used to love astronomy. Like whenever they did something on National Geographic, I'd record everything, right?
Yeah.
But then you go back and you look at it, and you're not getting any photos, you're not getting any videos. It's all CGI. You're getting everything via CGI. You're watching a movie.
For the general public, it's not going to be very entertaining. Showing like they see, like, you know, if they show what NASA sees or what the telescope show, it's not very entertaining.
Yep.
Did you watch when they what did they do? They shot something at the moon or whatever. What did they do? Yeah, there was something that was going to hit the moon. I can't remember. It was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And we were watching it. And it's like nothing happened. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, it's not entertaining. Same with when SpaceX docked onto the space station. It moves that slow. You know, I fell asleep before. I wanted to see it dock, and I fell asleep. I was snoring before it even bloody got close to
Do you know how fast the space station's traveling? Do you know how fast it's traveling? They're telling us?
Yeah, it's
do you know how fast it's orbiting the Earth, apparently?
No. Tell me.
17,500 miles an hour. It's orbiting the Earth. And these guys are working on the outside of the space station, fixing stuff while it's orbiting the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour. Like these are facts you can you can look that up. That's what NASA tells us.
There's no gravity in Earth. There's no gravity in space as well.
Space is a vacuum, right? That's what they tell you.
You're following that.
So they're saying, so they're saying space is a vacuum, right?
Yeah, there's nothing in it. Yeah.
But how do you have a vacuum? So Earth is a pressurized system. We live in a pressurized system.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you have a pressurized system next to a vacuum without a barrier? It's like opening up a can of Coke. No, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be a scientist. Like it's just when you think about it.
I would rather put my faith into someone
That's
someone that
right.
has studied
Faith. You're putting faith. Yeah? Faith is belief.
Yeah, but
that's like religion. See, faith is belief. It's religion. So you're not. These are things that you can test for yourself.
But religion and science, like you said before, are totally different things.
They are, right? But when you believe in something like that, something that, say, thermodynamics absolutely disproves that, right? So there's professors that even in lectures that I've watched that actually show a vacuum, right, next to a pressurized system. As soon as you remove the barrier, it equalizes. That's how it works, right? So you can't have space as a vacuum next to next to Earth as a pressurized system.
No offense, right? But I know you're throwing all these facts and all that.
Yeah.
But where have you learned these facts?
You can learn them anywhere.
Yeah, but is this what you're saying is scientific?
It's scientific. It's scientific facts. So a lot of stuff.
Or some crack job on a YouTube channel.
No, it's not a crack job at all, because a lot of the stuff, the stuff you can verify. So I was the same as you. I went into this kind of stuff, saying, this is crazy. What do you mean? Like I went into this. I went into this rabbit hole, if you will, trying to disprove what I'm telling you, and all I did was prove it. So I went in there with thinking, no, what do you mean? We can land on Mars. They're talking about colonizing Mars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's your explanation why they're not? Why this is all? It's all bullshit then. Why is Elon Musk and SpaceX trying to do this? Where are they going to go? Why
they're not going anywhere? It's to make you believe. So this all goes back. So do you believe that Elon Musk has designed a rocket that's gonna land on Mars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they built? Why are they spending all that money?
But at the same time, time, you got who Bill Nye is, right? You know Bill Nye, the science guy with a bow tie. He's in this kind of the same category as Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is, right?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
So he's been asked on multiple occasions, like what's gravity? What is gravity, Neil? This is like the high priest of science, right? Yeah, and he's like, we don't know what gravity is. We don't know. Like, well, hang on. You're telling us there's this gravity is holding trillions of tons of water to the Earth as it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. How do you guys not know what it is? And they don't know. He can't answer the question. So how can you not answer that question? How do you not know what it is? You're using gravity as a law when technically it's a theory. When you look into it, it's a theory of gravity because it's never been proven. Gravity's never been proven, right?
So why don't we tell everyone? So obviously we're going towards that where you believe the Earth is flat, right?
From what I've looked at with my own personal experiments and what I've done and what I've seen, right?
Yep.
For me, the Earth is not a sphere. It can't be. It can't be because number one, we can see too far, and that's been proven multiple times, right? Magnitudes of times. And you got to think to yourself, what do you believe it's a sphere? Yeah. What do you believe it's a sphere?
Okay, so I mean, look, there's no point. I mean, I feel that like going back and forward with me trying to convince you that the Earth is round or a sphere, and you trying to convince you, it's not going to happen, right? For both of us. But I mean, like you said, you look up at the sky.
Yeah.
It's the moon is round for a reason. You got eclipses, you got moon cycles, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can see with your own eyes, right?
Yeah, of course.
But and things like the curvature of the Earth. Like I've got two really good close. I've got a cousin who flies a private jet for Lindsay Fox, right? So he takes photos up there because private jets go a hell of a lot higher than commercial airliners.
Yep.
And you can see the curvature of the Earth. And a good mate of mine as well has been on another private jet as well. I've seen photos as well.
Right.
So it's not like, why would they try and convince me that it's just...
Let me just stop you for a sec. Right? Yeah. Because people that are saying that they've seen the curvature of the Earth from a plane, right? Yeah. They haven't seen the curvature of the Earth from a plane. A private jet. What's the altitude that a private jet flies? Do you know?
I don't know. All I know is that they do definitely go higher than commercial airlines.
So do you know who Felix Baumgartner is? Do you know the guy that did the Red Bull jump? He went up in the capsule.
Yeah.
He did the Red Bull jump. He went up to 127,000 feet, right? Which is a lot higher than what a plane flies, right?
Yeah.
And he jumped from 127,000 feet, right? So there's two cameras. There was two cameras on that capsule. There's one on the inside of the capsule and there's one on the outside, a GoPro on the outside with a fisheye lens, right?
Yeah.
And with the fisheye lens, it was curving. So he jumped over New Mexico. And when you look at it, he was 127,000 feet. And the fisheye lens has curved the horizon. Okay. And you're looking at that, and it looks like you're looking at the Earth. But the Earth, New Mexico's taking up all of the Earth. right? Yeah. And then the camera from the inside, as it shoots out, the horizon's perfectly flat. And when he took off, the horizon was perfectly flat. Okay, from when he was at ground level, the horizon there was perfectly flat, right?
But I mean, you know, I could throw the same thing like that's fake footage. How do we know he really jumped? We don't know. You didn't see it for your own eyes. Like that's why all these sort of arguments, I just think a bit, or not arguments, you know, trying to convince. Oh, but this happened, but that happened. There's always going to be something.
Also, when it was questioned, but when it was questioned, so people asked. So Neil deGrasse Tyson did. I think he did like a TED talk or a conference at somewhere like at a uni or something. And someone asked them about that, saying that how come we were getting two different perspectives? One was flat, and then the fisheye was curving everything. And he said to the audience, and you can see this for yourself, when you look up the information, you'll find it for yourself, that he goes, you can't see the curvature of the Earth from 127,000 feet. And he had a blow up ball of the Earth, right? Yeah. And he showed, he goes, you're like, he goes, in relation to that, he goes, you'd be like 2 millimeters off the top of the Earth. He goes, so you wouldn't be able to see, there's no way you can see the curvature of the Earth from 127,000 feet. Yeah. So, and this is the high priest of scientism saying this. So people that are saying they've seen it from a plane is absolutely impossible. Do you know if you're in a plane?
What have they got to gain by saying that it's a sphere compared to a flat Earth? And what is the gain there?
The shape doesn't matter, right? The shape doesn't matter. It's the actual lie. The lie that's been perpetrated on everyone.
What's the gain, right? What's the gain about it, though? That's what I want to know. What's the gain?
This is where you have to really start looking into it. Like I said, I've been looking into this since 2017, right? Yeah. Not just this, but this is one of the things I've been looking into because to me it didn't make sense. And when I started trying to prove the heliocentric model, I was just hitting walls, hitting dead ends, right? And then I started looking. All right, so there was a few experiments you could do. So do you know what the curvature formula of the Earth is basically for this like the heliocentric model? Okay, so it's 8 inches per mile squared, right? Yeah. So you can look all this stuff up. You don't have to believe anything I'm telling you. This is what NASA tells you, right? And this is why I looked it up. So this is what you get from NASA. Okay, 8 inches per mile squared. Okay, is the curvature formula. So you and Dennis, you guys have both flown many times in aeroplanes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So as you're flying, right, you can look out the window and you can see the horizon. It's pretty much at eye level, right, when you look out. Yeah. Right? So that's something you can verify for yourself. So if you're flying at whatever they fly, 35,000 feet, say, in altitude, the planes fly between 35 and 45, thereabouts, right? So if you're on a plane and the plane is flying around a sphere, that plane would have to nose down a mile every 2 minutes so it didn't fly out into space. Okay, so right, that's a fact. That's using science and maths, right? Using their model, the plane would have to nose down like a mile every 2 minutes to stay to the curvature of the Earth, to stay to that formula, right? So it wasn't flying straight out. So you both can feel. So when you're all flying and you know the plane's about to land, right? You can feel as it's making subtle movements to slowly drop down, right? To land, right? These are things that you both felt for yourself. Yeah. Okay, so if you had to nose down a mile every 2 minutes so you went flying out into space, right? Do you think you could feel that? Could you feel the plane nose diving down a mile every 2 minutes? So there's little things that you've been on a plane and you could, right? No, like I said, it's okay to change your mind based on new information. Okay. Yeah. And this is where belief systems are different to facts that you can verify for yourself.
So, right? Is the conversation then when you go to school, you're taught a certain way? So you're taught about dinosaurs, you're taught about planets, you're taught about the solar system.
From when you're young, from when you're in kinder.
Yeah. Or right? Before that, in play
school. Even play school. In play school, yeah. All right, before you're even 1 year old, they're showing stuff about astronauts. They're showing things about planets, and like as a child, you're amazed, you're fascinated. Oh my God, there's all these planets out there, you know. And we're just like this little speck. We're this little speck flying through the universe with all these other planets, you know. Yeah. So when you actually look into it and you kind of look at some facts for yourself, even the fact that we can see too far, you know, the fact that like a lot of the things that people can zoom in on and see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, I think that some people, you know, like feel that to be that insignificant in a world that's so large, so I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around it as well. Where
absolutely.
you talk about numbers and all that sort of, until you put things into scale and see how large the Earth is, compared to you. Do you know what I mean? Where look, I've seen heaps of videos that combat everything that you're saying, right? Again, it's YouTube, right? You know, but it's about the credibility of the person. That's what I look at. It's not just some person that can put a video on YouTube and throw figures and all that sort of stuff.
What about your own perspective though? Does that not count? Because
my perspective is like, there's nothing that says the Earth is flat to me. There's no evidence that's there that it says it's flat.
But that's because you haven't really looked.
But I mean, like if I look at the moon, I see it round.
But what's the moon got to do with the Earth?
The Earth is round.
How do you know the moon's round? How do you know it's not flat? We only ever see one side. But how do you know?
Because if the Earth was flat, you'd just see a line.
But this is what I'm saying to you. How do you know, right? How do you know what you're seeing? Because we haven't been back to the moon since '69, and then all these astronauts are saying now.
Like the eclipse and all that sort of stuff. Like how do you explain all that if the Earth isn't round for a sphere to be able to see the crescent moon and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, that's why it's a sphere, because they use science to determine these things. Yeah,
that's why. What's a sphere though? What's a sphere? The moon's a sphere, or they're saying that's why the Earth's a sphere?
Yeah, they're both spheres.
How do we know the moon's a sphere? How do you know it's not just a circle like a pizza? How do you know?
Like one dimensional.
Yeah, like one dimensional. But how do you know? Because we only ever see. Do you agree? We only ever see one side of the moon. We only ever see one face of the moon.
Yeah, but it's.
How do you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
How do we know? How do I like? I'm not saying I know what it is either. I'm not saying I know what it is, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not just going to take it because some dude in a white coat. Right, mind you, NASA's budget, by the way, is like $60 or $62 million a day, right? That's NASA's budget.
What you mean the government gives them?
That's what NASA gets for doing research, right? And all these missions, over $60 million a day.
Yeah,
right.
It's huge. Yeah.
So, aside from financial gain, right? At the end of the day,
financial gain for who? Who? You know, it's.
What's happening in the world? What's happening in the world right now? That's what I'm saying. Like this unravels when you kind of unravel it, and where it goes back to when you look at the Antarctic Treaty. When you look at Operation Fishbowl, when you look at all these are military operations that have happened throughout history. Honestly, that have happened, right? Yeah, and you're not taught about any of this stuff in school.
Right. So that's where where I want to head. So I think the key thing here is you can research if the Earth is flat or research if it's a sphere.
A sphere,
and you'll get the answer you want. Right?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Now
in like not so I don't think you get the answer you want. What you'll do is you can, if you go using evidence, stuff that you can, like I said, stuff that you can verify for yourself. Stuff that you can look into, like you've seen a lot of the photos that I've taken, a lot of things that I've shot from far distance with my camera. They should be behind a curve. If you're going off the 8-inch per mile squared model, if you're going off that calculation, number one, the first thing is we can see way too far, right? And when there's videos that are up that are people are doing these experiments for themselves,
Where does the
right?
ship go? Where does the ship go then?
What do you mean? Where does it go? Like what you're saying when you're standing on the?
If you watch the ship go out in the horizon, does it just disappear?
So we're told it goes behind the curve. When you're at school, right? You're told it's gone behind the curve, but you can't see forever. It goes beyond the angular resolution limits of your eyes. You can't see forever. Yeah, but so
why can't you see another country using a high-powered magnified lens or whatever?
Because
you can't.
No, because there's atmosphere. It's like going into a deep pool. If you go into a 50-meter pool and you sit in the bottom of the pool, you can't see to the end of the pool because you got all the water. You got a body of water. It's atmosphere. It's atmosphere.
Look, like I said, there's no trying to convince each other. Obviously.
And I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm just here to say look into it, because I was just like you, Stephen. I was just like you. But then when I started actually looking into it genuinely, putting ego and belief to the side, right? Because it hurts when you believe something for the majority of your life, right? Yeah. It's hard to come to terms that
doesn't really matter as well. That's another thing. Like, say it is flat. Say it is.
And this is where I want to go with it.
Matter?
Like, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Because,
it kind of does. It's not the shape. And like I said, it's not the shape that matters, right? It's the lie. It's the lie. Does it change your life? Absolutely. Honestly. You see, do you know
how does it affect you?
Because you understand that you were created by something. You were intelligently designed. You weren't just there wasn't like nothing and then nothing exploded, right? And then all the rocks from nothing come together to form planets, and then all the gases from nothing come together to create stars. Right?
That would seriously change your life.
Finish it,
like,
right?
say, for example, tomorrow, let me ask Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis, tomorrow, if there was proof, right, 100%, it was undeniable that the Earth was flat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would that change your life tomorrow?
So I had this conversation with my wife, and we said, what if all of these flat Earth or the theories that we have or the research that we've done turns out to be 100% correct? So what? How does that affect anything? And the truth is, it won't affect me sleeping. Well, I think that I've been lied to my whole life, probably. But you know what? I've probably been lied to my whole life about other things.
About a lot, right? And it depends on the individual at the end of the day, right?
Yes, but
when you understand, right? And it's like religion. People go through and believe in a certain religion. You got Scientology, for God's sake, right? People that believe and throw their whole life into Scientology, and that they feel that gives them a purpose because maybe those people are lost or whatever it may be, right? Yeah. But there's no proof behind Scientology. Like L. Ron Hubbard was the biggest science fiction writer of
any religion.
Of our time.
There's really no proof. You know,
that's right. It's belief. It's belief.
2,000, 3,000 years ago. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. But when it comes to this the flat Earth, right, and you go through the proofs that don't line up with a heliocentric model, when you can see these and verify these for yourself, which everything that NASA gives you and throws at you, you can't verify for yourself. These planets that are thousands of light years away, 450, light years away, and you can't verify anything. How do they even measure that?
All right.
I just don't.
Let me
get to that. Let me get to that.
Okay. I was gonna ask a question, but
let me get to that. Right. So basically, when you look into it and you can understand that the Earth that we're living on has been intelligently designed by something. It wasn't nothing that exploded and created it, and then lightning struck, and then you were a fish that then turned into a lizard that turned into a monkey that turned into a human. That's ridiculousn's. Okay. If people think about that.
So you're saying we didn't come from?
We did not evolve from pond scum. We did not evolve from pond scum, and that's
who knows? Yeah.
Well, you think about it. How do you evolve from pond scum? You look at the science of it, right? And there's a very good video by Eric Dubé that actually breaks down, and there's a lot of academics and professors that actually contest the theory of evolution, right? That say it's absolutely impossible. The proteins and the molecules.
It's a theory.
It's a theory, right? Yeah. So basically, when you look into it, and you can understand that we're intelligently designed by, whether it be by God, whether it be by Buddha, by Allah, whatever it may be. That's everyone else. That's everyone's personal journey of whatever it may be. But what we're on and where we're living was intelligently designed by someone higher than us, basically, whatever it may be. And we're not an insignificant speck hurling through space in 4 different directions, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour through the galaxy. That's a story. That's a story.
So,
right? So basically, everyone's here for their own personal journey, whatever it may be, right? Spiritual or otherwise. It's everyone's own everyone's journey. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So some people might say, what difference does it make whether it's round or flat? Well, that depends. Yeah. That depends on what you've gone through, I guess, in your life and kind of your experiences. And like I said, some people turn to religion to get some kind of meaning in their life, But the thing with this is you can verify things for yourself. You can prove things for yourself, Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm going. And like I said, I don't know whether it's flat, whether it's a triangle, but I know one thing's for sure from everything that I've seen and everything that I've done personally myself. It's not a sphere. It's definitely not a sphere from what I've observed for myself. So why the lie? The lie's to make us feel insignificant, with exactly what's happening now.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you believe that the human race was more intelligent back when they thought the Earth was flat, or you think they're more intelligent now?
They were definitely more intelligent back in the mid 1800s. Absolutely.
You think they were more intelligent then?
Absolutely.
Back then.
Do you know anything about the world's
Explain that.
do you know anything about the world's fairs back in the mid 1800s?
The World's Fairs.
Fairs.
Was that where they did the like a showcase, a showcase of technology?
You think about all right. So one person that everyone knows is Nikola Tesla.
Yep.
Right. We know who Nikola Tesla is. Was pulling free energy out of the ether.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And was going to give the world free energy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's happened since then?
But it was dangerous as well.
It wasn't dangerous at all. It was not dangerous at all. Yeah, that's a fallacy. It wasn't dangerous at all, right? The reason that got shut down is because we wouldn't be paying for our.
Yeah, look, that makes sense.
This all comes down to basically it comes down to greed and control, and that's like I said, people have to start opening their minds and look at where we're living right now. Look at what's happening.
What you're saying about that sort of stuff, right? Like if someone could make an invention, like. How many times you hear the oil companies where they make an engine that runs on water or whatever, and all of a sudden they disappear?
Exactly right. And who buys all the patents for those? The government buys all those patents and never releases them. So they buy all the patents.
They protect the oil companies.
That's right.
100%.
That's right.
But that makes sense, right? Yeah. It makes sense because it's about greed, right?
Yeah.
But like things like conspiracy theories, like I don't know. Wherever there's money involved, I get it, right? Because obviously people do crazy things to have that power, which is basically power, right? But like the Earth is flat thing. That I don't see the monetary gain in discussing that, as in like why it's not a monetary gain.
I wish I could show you some illustrations that I had. Maybe next time if we do this again. I can show you some illustrations and some facts and some old articles, right? So they've only been pushing a heliocentric model of the Earth, which is the spherical model, since the early 1900s. Since about 1920, 1930 is when they've really been pushing heliocentric. Before then, right, and even, I'm not a religious guy at all, but even in the Bible, right, the Bible talks about the Earth. Even in, so there's been a few... FAA flight manuals and Air Force flight manuals that have been released to the public and documents, right? And every pilot, right? Every pilot, especially in the Air Force, in their manual, one of the first things it says, assume a non-rotating flat Earth that you're flying over. So why would they put that? You can see that for yourself. These are things you can verify. You don't have to believe me, right? No one has to believe you. And I didn't believe it either until I looked into it and actually saw it for myself. Right? Yeah. Why would they say assume flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth if the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, right? Chasing the sun at 66,600 miles an hour, right? And the sun's hurling through space at 500,000 miles an hour.
Why though?
But think about these numbers, right?
What does it benefit them by making all these?
Like I said. Right? What if there was extra land? What if there was extra land? So they've done the Antarctic Treaty, I think, in 1959.
Let's talk about the let's talk about the Antarctic.
There's the Antarctic Treaty, right, in 1959. So there was Admiral Byrd who worked for the Navy, right, and he was an explorer as well, right. So he explored the North Pole and he explored Antarctica, right, back I think it was around 1946 or 1948, right. So you can look all this stuff up, right. Admiral Richard Byrd, okay. And you look at so he explored Antarctica and he actually went, when he got back, right, and he's the one that there was Operation High Jump, right, which was, they took about 4,500 military to Antarctica and they said it was under the guise of looking for the Nazis, right, trying to find Nazis, right. But when he explored it just with a handful of other pilots, he actually said, and he said this on TV, right, that there is a land down at the bottom of the world, right, bigger than the United States, which is rich in minerals, resources, oil that has never been discovered yet. So he was the first guy there, right? Not long after that, about 2 years later after that, he died mysteriously of a heart attack, and the Antarctic Treaty was formed with now it's got over 46 different countries, right, that are part of this treaty, which doesn't allow you to independently explore Antarctica. So you're not allowed beyond the 60th parallel, right? It's militarized.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't go there, right? They do private tours there, and we know someone who's done a tour there. right?
So you're basically saying that there's a part of the world that's locked out to
There's
the
a part of the world
general-
that's locked out to the general public, and we don't know. We don't know what's beyond that. Whatever's beyond that is an assumption because you can't explore that independently, right? So there's that, right? First question mark. Well, why is that? Why can't we go to Antarctica if it's meant to be a little, it's meant to be at the bottom of the world, 13,000 miles in circumference? Why can't that be explored? Why has there never been any north to south, southern navigation? Like they haven't gone around the circumference of the world. Everyone's gone east to west. No one's gone north to south. If it's a sphere, should be able to travel north to south. Should be able to go south and pop up the other end and come around. That has never happened. So there's a lot of question marks to think, all right, well, if it is a sphere, why haven't these things happened? Why can't we independently explore Antarctica? Like there's a lot of things. And then there was a Japanese map that was found in Hawaii back in the 1930s or something. And it's this map that shows the world flat. And I could show you this next time if we ever catch up. I could show you this, right? I'll show you this stuff yourself. You can look into it for yourself. That actually shows continents all on the outside, right? Yep. So what if there's more land? What if there's more extra territories beyond Antarctica? Or what if we're in the middle and we're all the little minions working, slaving away for all these bankers and these rich knobs at the top? Like people that think they've got a couple of $1 million, that's insignificant compared to these guys that are running all the banks, like the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Bilderberg Group, Church of Rome, all the Vatican. The Vatican itself.
The Vatican.
Do you know what I mean? Like people think, I'm just going to work and I've got I've got this and I've got that and I've got all these assets that maybe add up to a couple of $1 million. That's nothing. You're still all your taxes and everything that's going. Where's all this money going? So what if we're just in the middle and we're the little minions working away, and there's more land on the outside that we can't get to. They don't want us to go to. It's like putting a fence around where you live and saying you can't go beyond that fence. Like what they're doing now, you can't leave your state. People are going crazy because they can't leave their state.
They can't leave your 5 kilometre zone.
You can't leave their 5 kilometre zone, and people are going insane. What if people knew there was more land? There was more beyond Antarctica that we can't get to.
So is that one of your thoughts as to why?
This is one of the thoughts as to why the Antarctic Treaty come about, and it was kind of verified by that Admiral Richard Byrd, right? When he said it on, it's a black and white clip, and it's part of like a TV show that was out in the 50s, early 50s. What he actually states this, right? So all the information's out there. But if you're gonna use Google to try and find it, it's gonna send you to the Flat Earth Society. Anyone that believes or looks into Flat Earth genuinely, right? No one's getting any information from the Flat Earth Society. That's a government-run like disinformation site, basically, where they say that they put in that the Earth is a pancake flying through space at 8 meters a second, and that's what is causing gravity and for us to stay on the Earth. Anyone that's a genuine flat earther does not believe that. That's absolute ridiculousness. So anyone that looks into it using Google and it directs you to that is to continually gatekeep your mind.
Okay, let me ask a question about, totally random, I don't think either of you will expect this. Dinosaurs, did they ever exist? I'm trying to talk about a couple of different topics because I'm conscious of the time.
Well,
right? But I know, and this is, I'm not speaking on behalf of Stephen, but both for he and I, the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios is one of the greatest rides.
I love Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park, right? I love Jurassic Park. But the facts remain, the dinosaurs weren't discovered till the mid-1800s.
Okay,
So I think it was 1850, in the mid-1850s, was the first dinosaur bone that was ever discovered. So there is no Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Mayans, no one has got any drawings, anything about these dinosaurs, right? There's nothing before 1850. And the first guy to ever find a dinosaur bone, a year previously to the day, theorized the existence of dinosaurs. So the guy that theorized the existence of dinosaurs...
all the fossils that are found are bullshit.
All the fossils... So some are real, right? There are some real fossils, but what they're doing is they're finding a bone here, a jawbone there, right? But they've never found a complete skeleton of anything. And there's actually a company in China that specializes in building like dinosaur structures and dinosaur bones for museums. And museums will tell you they don't even have what you're seeing, the dinosaur skeleton you're seeing is not actual bones. It's a replica. right? It's made from
Yeah.
like plaster casts. They'll tell you that, right? So there has never been a complete skeleton of a dinosaur that's ever existed, ever, and never been found before the mid 1850s. When I can't remember the guy's name, I'll get back to you on his name. I'll find it. So this guy theorized the existence of dinosaurs, and then back then, as they were finding dinosaur bones, museums were buying these bones and paying big money for these bones, right? To put in their museum. So there was a guy. Then there was a battle between this guy and his one of his mate. They were both academics, right? So that he theorized it, and then they both went together, and they're finding all these dinosaur bones all of a sudden everywhere and selling them to museums, right? Yeah. And then everyone was finding dinosaur bones everywhere they go to look. Oh, I found a bone. We found a bone here. I found a bone there. Oh, well, we can theorize it from this bone that the rest of the skeleton of the dinosaur looked like this, and then just the whole dynamics and the way that they structure these dinosaurs. Like when you look at a Tyrannosaurus Rex, he's got these gimpy little arms. Right, he's got these big legs. What are you going to do with these little arms? What's that going to do? Right? You look at this dinosaur, right? Just using kind of common sense, I think, well, it looks kind of everything. It looks a bit out of proportion, you know? And no one's ever found a full skeleton of one either. So
you could look at a lot of different animals over, and go, what the fuck is that thing? You know what I mean?
You can, but nothing.
Not everything has to be perfectly proportioned.
No, but nothing is so out of proportion compared to a dinosaur. You know what I mean? You look at some dinosaurs and the fact that they've never found a full skeleton of a dinosaur ever, and then there's a company in China that specializes in making replica dinosaur bones to sell to museums, and no dinosaur bone was ever found before the 1850s. You can look that up for yourself.
I always come back to this, but why? Like, why?
Initially, I think it was just for money, initially, this guy, right? This guy that maybe he did it for financial gain. Because then after he found this first dinosaur bone, it was a year to the day that he published this, I don't know if it was an article basically stating his theory on these prehistoric dinosaurs. A year to the day he finds a bone. First dinosaur bone ever found, ever. And look at all the, like I said, the Mayans, all the ancient civilizations. You've got the Mayans, you've got the Egyptians. They have no hieroglyphs of any dinosaurs or anything of the sort in any of their kind of ancient.
But they say a lot.
And then what
civilizations? So how would they know?
So what do you mean? But they never found a bone, and everything that they've built and all the digging they've done throughout the whole world, there was no dinosaur bones ever found in everything that they've built, especially with the pyramids. No one ever found anything before this guy wrote a paper and found one a year to the day. Exactly.
Found dinosaur bones in the desert? I don't know.
Don't know, but there was nothing there. What about the Mayans? You know, like there's a lot of things that don't make sense. But then what happened to the dinosaurs? What were we told that happened to the dinosaurs? How did they become extinct? An asteroid hit the Earth, and the dinosaurs became extinct. Right?
That's what we're told.
Yeah.
That's what we're told, right? So an asteroid came and decimated the dinosaurs, and they became extinct. And then I don't know what. And then somehow we evolved.
I reckon it was coronavirus. That's what.
maybe they got the shot, mate. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of little things that when you actually start looking into them, like we're told things at school. You go to a museum and they just tell you some facts, and you think, oh, that's amazing. But then no one bothers really to kind of look into it and think, oh, well, how come nothing ever got found before 1850? You know, we're supposed to be at least 2,000 years old if you believe in Christ and whatever else. Even before that, Christians believe we've been here for 6,500 years. So in all that time, why was the first dinosaur bone that was ever found? Why was it a year after the guy theorized the existence of dinosaurs? And then him and his mate were the ones finding all the bones and selling them to museums. And you can look at Eric Dubé does a really good representation and a good he does a good clip on this. It talks about half of it's about Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution, and the other half's about dinosaurs, and gives you the facts and these are things you can look up for yourself. So the fact that I can research this stuff for myself, it gives me a little bit more confidence in, all right, well, maybe this is the truth. Maybe this is the reason.
I think as long as the information that you're absorbing, I feel, as long as it's from credible.
What determines credible? What determines credible?
Someone that dedicates their life to the study.
But someone that dedicates their life.
That's what I call it.
But someone that dedicates their life to the study also has an ulterior motive of not wanting to maybe have that light bulb moment that, geez, I've been dedicating my whole life to nonsense. I've been
Sometimes that
dedicating.
happens.
But
Sometimes that does happen.
ego comes into it, right? You don't want to believe
Yeah,
that you've gone to university and you've become a paleontologist and you've done all this stuff and you've just dedicated your whole life to a lie.
Yeah.
People will be like, this can't be
I
true.
get
I don't want to believe that. Nah, this guy's a conspiracy theorist. But hang on, these are the facts.
I mean, no offense, but I would trust a scientist that's had 40 years of research and it's dedicating their life to it. It's the same watching then a YouTube.
But
video.
you know what? You have to.
There's no doubt in my mind that that's how I feel. I would rather trust someone that has dedicated.
So trust. You're trusting someone, which is the same as believing them. Well, do you trust yourself? If you were to look into something for yourself and you see some facts for yourself, would you say, you know what? This guy, you don't know if he's got financial gain. He could be getting funding. Where's the funding of this scientist coming from? Like I said, we're seeing a lot of this stuff now happening with a lot of different pharmaceutical companies that are giving very conflicting information about what's happening in the world today.
We're seeing that with the World Health Organization. We're seeing who their biggest,
and
this is public information.
That's right. And these aren't conspiracy theories. These are facts. People need to look into them. So if what's happening today,
when it's warranted, like if it's something about, for example, cancer treatment and all that sort of stuff, right? Which I mean, I've heard as well that there is cures that, chemotherapies, all the drugs. So, you know what I mean? There's obviously issues with that as well. I would prefer to focus, my energy on that sort of thing to figure out what the hell's going on with that and actually doing something about it. Instead of just saying, no, there's no dinosaurs, there's no Earth, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really impact society if you disprove that or whatever. From what I mean, and it sounds like you're a real passionate guy, and I like that, right? I think you know a lot about what you're learning, but I think that if you really get something that really matters to people's lives and really go for it, I reckon you'll make a difference. But I think just trying to disprove scientists, saying about the Earth is flat or whatever, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to other people. And I reckon that
a lot of people
with your sort of passion, mate, you could seriously make a change.
And that's very kind of you. So you're basically saying that if 50% of the world, if we found out the Earth was 100% flat, a large proportion of the world would go, well, okay, well, it's flat. Move on. Whereas if you could prove that cancer had a cure but was being restricted, it would affect a lot more people.
Like if say he dedicated that on that specific subject, say, for example, he picks that, right? And he is able to prove that this is an issue, and they're hiding it and all that, and you can prove it, take it out to the media, make it sort of blow up.
Stephen, did you just say take it out to the media? Did you just say take it out to the media, mate? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, right. There's other sources. It's not just
what are the other sources? YouTube are the other sources, maybe? People that can't get their things out to the media, maybe going through YouTube or using other platforms to put their information out.
That's what you use, us.
That's right.
Have blogs. Many people have blogs as well, that it's on the web. And they can't control that, right? You know that, or else, and none of these flat Earth stuff would exist. It's because of websites and that they can't control every website. So as long as it gets enough attention from people, I reckon you can make a change.
For me,
I really do.
For me, like I said, this whole the flat Earth stuff that we're talking about, and that was just a stepping stone. And it's funny that and it's hard to explain until you kind of look into it. And it's almost like a light bulb moment, and something does change in you. Something changes you when you find out, and when you understand that people, us, we were the center of creation, and we were put here for a reason, right? We weren't put here to be the little minions of all the people, the 1% basically. We're the 99%. Go to work every day, pay your taxes, pay tax on this, pay tax on that.
I think it's also hard for people to realize that everybody is. I mean, I have this belief that I believe that no one, no matter how much money or power you've got, that we are all insignificant. We all really are, because at the end of the day, if the virus wipes us all out,
absolutely,
nothing. You know what I mean? It could be anything that wipes us out, right?
Yeah.
So I think some people, and that's where I think religion is still around to this day.
Well,
people need to feel that they have a reason to be here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people
absolutely.
can't cope without having a reason in their, a purpose in life.
Yeah.
Look, I went through it, a couple of years ago myself, like, as in I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life career-wise, right? Yeah. You go through that sort of thing, and I think it's individually a mental thing that you need to try and sort out. And some people can't cope by themselves and need to be part of a group or a community that can help them get through it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that, if we can, I want to be able to help people, and that's why I'm trying to build a business that's going to actually make it some decent money and to actually help people. That's going to be my end goal with this.
Yeah.
Because I am totally against people that, have got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they
and it's
just
never
buy,
enough. Never enough.
It just buy properties, and I think that you should, if you're fortunate enough to be in that situation, to help other people that are less fortunate. So yeah, that's where I think, and that's why my point to you, where, like I said, I can feel it, mate, that you can go and get what you want. And I reckon that you should try and focus on something that you can maybe make a change. And I reckon you'll be able to do it, mate.
Well,
I really do.
I think that is one thing that is making the change, even from a spiritual level, right? When you realize that you can't get taken out by an asteroid's not going to take you out. You know what I mean? That we are the Earth. The people here, we're being designed. It's been intelligently designed, and we are like the center of creation, basically, right? So you're not going to get taken out. People fear they might get taken out by an asteroid, or we're going to get nuked. China's going to nuke us, and it's going to decimate half the population or whatever it may be. These are all the fear. Just the fear of that keeps people. It keeps you not living your life as you could, basically, if you didn't have that fear.
Some people, yeah.
Some people, it does, right? And this is where, like I said, I think the biggest lie is if you don't even know where you live, right? And people are living in fear, thinking they're just insignificant, hurling through space and could get taken out any minute by anything. I think that kind of that in that way that almost feeds the greed, thinking I've got to get as much as I can now because anything could happen. What if we get nuked? What if this happens? What if that happens? I think that when you realize that can't happen, and people that are part of this community, like I haven't really met anyone else. There is a massive community. There's 11 million people alone just in Brazil that are flat earthers. 11 million, right? That's just in one country, right? And the whole thing is it's growing exponentially every day because it's not about the shape of the earth. It's just a lie. And when you can realize the truth of certain things, it opens your eyes up to other truths.
It could be anything. It's because of the lies.
It could be anything. But basically, the fact that the Earth does not spin at 1,000 miles an hour. That's been scientifically proven and tested, right? It doesn't spin at 1,000 miles an hour, right? There's no detectable curvature. Okay, scientifically provable. Okay, scientifically provable. Not a theory, not a belief. Scientifically provable, right? And people can verify this stuff for themselves. The fact that people can go out and look into this stuff and
How can they if they don't have the equipment to do it?
What do you need? Get a camera, get a set of binoculars. The best thing to do, people, and we've done it at the beach house. You see a boat, the people say, oh, it's gone over the horizon, it's disappeared. I'll get my camera, zoom in, I'll bring it back. If that's gone behind a curve, I shouldn't be able to see it. I shouldn't be able to see it over a curve. It brings the ship back from bottom up. It's just that people have to understand the angular resolution limit of their eyes. You don't see forever. You can't see forever. That's just how our eyes work.
I mean about equipment.
Yeah, it's just a camera. People can, even a cheap camera, just anything that enhances the limit of your eyes and how far you can see, depending on how far away that ship is, you'll bring it back. And there's dozens and dozens and dozens of videos of people actually doing it for themselves. People are using infrared cameras now and seeing for hundreds of miles, stuff that should be a mile below the curvature of the Earth.
I'm going to have to cut in here because of the timing, and the software we're using is going to cut off soon.
Oh.
So this has been awesome. And look, I've really enjoyed sitting back and listening to you go back and forth, right? It's been really interesting because we're not here to try and sell each other.
No, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just giving my...
And I think there is so many more. I mean, I didn't get into NASA. That's what I really wanted to get into.
Next time.
And hopefully yeah, there'll definitely be a next time.
But in the meantime, I encourage anyone listening, or even you, Stephen, yourself, if you want to look into this, like genuinely, there's an app called the Flat Earth Sun, Zodiac and Moon app, which is developed by a guy named David Weiss. Yeah. Right? It costs like $4, the price of a coffee. You got it forever, right? And it's got all the videos that YouTube will be hiding from you if you go to search. It's not going to take you to the Flat Earth Society. It's going to give you real, actual scientific-based evidence on this stuff. If you want to look, or if anyone else wants to look.
Okay, so you think there's no monetary gain for the people that are running the Flat Earth? So why is it not free?
What do you mean?
Why is that app not free?
Why is the app not free? Because it cost him 10,000.
You know what I mean? Like, don't you think to yourself with your mind, go, hang on a minute, how come that guy wants me to pay for it?
Because it cost him money, and he's always updating it. There's always new stuff on there, and you only pay for it once. It's not an annual. You pay $4 for it once, you got it forever. $4 compared to $61 million a day, big difference. Yeah, and they give you nothing. There's nothing you can verify. Yeah,
but you're not paying for that $60 million.
Not us, but I mean, hey, do we know where our money goes? We get taxed on so many things. Do we know where our money goes? We don't know where it goes.
That's a really good topic. Tax on tax.
Yeah, we don't know where our money goes.
That's a totally different thing. And
we'll
agree on that one. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. We don't know where our money goes. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, sociallisteningpodcast@gmail.com, social listening podcast and all the socials. This has been awesome. And I think we could go for hours. I really do.
There's so much.
There is so much. Yeah. But Stephen, thank you. As always, pleasure. Adam, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
Likewise, mate. Maybe we'll meet in the flesh next time. Hey?
That's it.
Sounds good.
All right, gents. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Bye.
See ya. Bye.